Far out in the vastness of space, beyond the reach of known stars, a small ship drifted slowly through the silence. The Starwind, a ship filled with brave explorers, was on its way to the uncharted region known as the Dark Veil. This part of space was as mysterious as it was dangerous, an area where few ships had ever gone and even fewer had come back. The crew of the Starwind had heard the legends, the ancient tales of lost civilizations and forgotten stars. But these were just stories, passed down by old spacefarers. Or so they thought. It started on the third day in the Dark Veil. At first it was nothing. A soft, distant sound like a hum, or the creaking of the ship's old metal hull. But then as the days passed it grew. A strange, faint whisper echoed from the walls of the ship. It was a sound that seemed to come from everywhere but nowhere at all. Captain Reiner, a seasoned leader, stood at the helm, staring out at the stars. Her fingers tightened around the controls, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. "Did you hear that?" she asked, turning to her crew. Her voice had a sharp edge to it. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, but no one spoke. They'd all heard it. "I thought I was going mad," said Dorian, the ship's engineer. He was always the logical one, quick to dismiss superstition. But now his face was pale, his voice uncertain. "But it's coming from inside the walls." The walls themselves. Lara, the navigator, looked at the walls as though she might see something hidden inside them. "I've checked the systems," she said. "Nothing's malfunctioning. No signals, no interference. But it's there." The whispers grew louder each night. At first, they were words barely understandable. Then they became clearer, like a language, an ancient tongue not of Earth. It was as if the ship itself was speaking. Captain Reiner ordered the crew to search the ship. They checked every compartment, every corner. But nothing. The whispers continued, growing in strength, like they were calling to them from the very fabric of the ship. Some began to feel uneasy, even scared. Was it a malfunction? Or was something far older and more dangerous at work? On the sixth day things changed. As the whispers reached a fever pitch, something more than a voice emerged. A cold, unnatural chill spread through the ship, making the crew shiver in the warmth of their spacesuits. The lights flickered, and for a moment, the stars outside seemed to darken, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Then came the feeling, the sensation of something moving behind the walls. It was like the ship had become alive, breathing, shifting, as if it were no longer just a machine. It was a presence, something old, ancient, and vast. "Something's inside," Dorian said, his voice barely a whisper. Captain Reiner nodded grimly. "We need to find out what it is." Lara stepped forward, her face set with determination. "We've come this far. We can't turn back now." And so the crew gathered their courage. They gathered tools and equipment, ready to investigate the heart of the ship, the walls where the whispers lived. No one knew what they'd find, but they had no choice but to follow the trail of sound and mystery. As they made their way into the depths of the ship, the whispers grew louder, as if urging them forward. The walls seemed to pulse with an eerie energy, and every step they took was met with a chilling sense that they were not alone. They reached a section of the ship that was older than the rest, an abandoned storage bay hidden away from the main living quarters. The walls here were cracked, and strange symbols were carved into them, symbols none of them recognized. The crew paused, staring at the markings. They were intricate, like a language, but too complex to understand. And at the center of the symbols, glowing faintly, was a small, round stone, its surface covered in strange, shifting patterns. "That's it," Lara whispered. "That's the source." Captain Reiner stepped forward, hesitating just for a moment. She reached out to touch the stone, and as her fingers brushed its surface, a surge of energy coursed through the ship. The whispers became screams, loud, desperate, echoing through the walls. The stone began to glow brighter, and in that instant the crew felt something shift in the very fabric of the universe. Time seemed to stretch and bend, as if the very stars outside had frozen in place. The whispers reached a deafening crescendo, and then, silence. The crew stood frozen in the empty darkness of the ship's core. The stone lay in Reiner's hand, now cool and lifeless, but the whispers were gone. The ship was still. But the feeling lingered, the feeling that something had been awakened. Something ancient and powerful, something that had been waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Captain Reiner stared out into the blackness of space, her heart pounding in her chest. "What have we done?" she whispered. And as the ship drifted deeper into the dark veil, a new question hung in the air, one that would never have an answer. Was it the ship that had awakened? Or was it something far older, something that had always been there, waiting for the right moment to reach out?